Have you ever felt that? That internal tug-of-war between wanting to stand out and just desperately wanting to fit in? It's a conflict every single one of us faces. On one side, you've got this deep desire to be your own unique self, and on the other, this almost magnetic pull of the group. That's exactly what we're diving into.
So let's kick things off with this incredibly powerful idea from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche: to own yourself. Just think about that for a second. For him, this was the ultimate prize, a privilege that was worth paying any price to achieve.
And that immediately brings us to the big question, right? If owning yourself is so incredibly valuable, why is leaving the herd so ridiculously hard? Why do we so often choose the comfort of the crowd instead? That's the puzzle we're going to try and piece together today.
So, first up, Nietzsche's call to freedom. And he wasn't just saying, oh, it's nice to be different. No, he was arguing it's a moral duty to have the courage to forge your own path, even if it means you have to walk it completely and utterly alone.
See, Nietzsche pinpointed the exact force he believed was holding us back. He called it herd morality, and it's a system of values designed not to lift anyone up, but to keep everyone the same. The goal isn't greatness, it's manageability. It's a system that prizes fitting in, just to keep the group comfortable and, most importantly, unchallenged.
And this really breaks down the two paths perfectly. On one side, you've got the values of the herd, safety, obedience, just blending in. But on the other, you have the values of the free spirit, questioning everything, embracing solitude, and the absolutely terrifying freedom of creating your own meaning. It's a really stark choice, isn't it? Comfort versus authenticity.
But listen, Nietzsche never pretended this was easy. He was brutally honest about the cost. To be a true individual is often to walk a deeply, crushingly lonely path. It's not some romantic idea. It's difficult, it's raw, and yeah, it's painful. This kind of freedom has a steep price.
Okay, so that's the philosophical case for breaking away. But what about the other side of the coin? If being an individual is so demanding, what makes the comfort of the herd just so magnetic, so irresistible? To really get that, we need to switch gears from philosophy to psychology.
And to do that, we're going to look at a classic story, but through a totally new lens: George Orwell's Animal Farm. We're not just going to look at it as a political story. Instead, we're going to use the ideas of the psychologist Carl Jung to see it as a perfect case study in why the herd is so powerful.
So, for a minute, I want you to try and forget all the specific political stuff in Animal Farm. Let's think of it instead as a timeless fable, one that's really about the deep psychological patterns of group behavior. Patterns, by the way, that are just as real in our lives today as they were on that farm.
And this right here is the key concept, the herd instinct. Now, according to Jung, this isn't a conscious choice we make. It's a deep, ancient, unconscious drive that's baked into all of us. It's this powerful force that's constantly pushing us toward the safety of the group, and it's so strong that it can literally overwhelm our own ability to reason and our personal sense of what's right and wrong.
And this instinct, it doesn't just stay a vague feeling. It actually shows up in specific, recognizable roles, or as Jung called them, archetypes. These are timeless characters we see in any group, and they are perfectly, and I mean perfectly, illustrated by the animals on the farm. Just take a look at this breakdown. You've got Boxer, the loyal laborer, the one whose blind faith and hard work keep the whole broken system running. Then there's Benjamin, the wise cynic, who sees the truth. He knows what's really happening, but he's just paralyzed by his own skepticism. And of course, you've got Napoleon and Squealer, the trickster shadows. They are absolute masters at exploiting the group's deepest fears. These aren't just farm animals. They are psychological roles you can see all around you every single day.
And here are the consequences when these archetypes start playing out. First, to protect itself, the group has to find a scapegoat. It projects all of its own flaws onto an outcast to feel pure. Then, any little spark of individual insight gets crushed by the immense pressure to conform. And ultimately, that unconscious primal need for safety, it wins. The herd saves itself by sacrificing the individual every single time.
So let's pull back. We've got these two massive opposing forces. On one side, this philosophical dare to be free, and on the other, this deep psychological pull to belong. And that brings us right to the final question, the choice between comfort and self.
So on the one hand, you have Nietzsche's challenge. It's a radical, direct call to action. He's daring you to stop accepting the values you've been handed down, to stop waiting for someone else to give you a purpose. He's daring you to stand alone and create your own meaning from scratch. And then, on the other hand, you have psychology, which pulls back the curtain and shows us all the invisible forces holding us back. Those deep-seated archetypes, that powerful herd instinct that makes conformity feel not just safe, but necessary, almost impossible to resist.
And so we end right back where we started, with this ultimate challenge. The question is, will you stay with the herd, or will you become who you are? And that's not a question for some long-dead philosopher. It's a question for each of us. Knowing the true cost of freedom and understanding the incredible power of the herd, which path will you choose?